Hi folks, so we're just going to run through a quick high-level demonstration of EDLORE mobile software. So what you see here on your screen, of course, is our mirroring the tablet application onto the laptop screen and then recording via screencast software. So in the top left, this is a QR code which we're going to scan. This is simulating a piece of equipment that our workforce member in this user story is going to interact with. So just to kick off here, we have detect device, which is going to be the method which we use to scan this piece of equipment in this user story. And detecting a device can be multiple methods. So, really your imagination is really the limit there. We can accommodate QR codes and barcodes, NFC and RFID technology, as well as sensor fusion. So again, really no limitations there to detecting equipment. And detecting is going to apply to all of your existing legacy equipment base. So all the equipment you already own today, this is how EDLORE is going to support your workforce in interacting with that equipment, giving them access to knowledge, documentation, safety information, repair history, you name it. Moving to the right, you'll see pair device. This is EDLORE's embedded solution, which we could most likely take conversations offline outside of the demo. But essentially, this is EDLORE having relationships with OEMs and putting our processor and or at the very least our firmware inside the equipment during manufacturing so that when the client purchases the equipment, EDLORE is already inside. This allows EDLORE to take on some preventative and predictive maintenance capabilities, as well as in many cases actually eliminate altogether the troubleshooting activity on any task. And as we all know, this can be 60, even 70% of the work hours per work order. Moving to the right as we go through, folks, you'll notice EDLORE serves very nicely as a training tool and also has some really amazing features in knowledge management, knowledge capture, which are proprietary, completely unique to EDLORE. No one else has these. So in any event, device list, this is going to get your workforce access to the equipment from anywhere. So whereas with detecting or pairing, they need to be within the vicinity of the equipment, detecting device allows them access to, device list allows them access to the knowledge, repair history, content, documentation of any equipment from anywhere, break room, home living room, wherever you're going to give the workforce access to the EDLORE software. Okay, my profile, this is a pretty self-explanatory one. This is going to show the individual workforce member who's logged in and their most recent work history. And actually, let's jump right back into notifications. This is where we really kick off the demonstration. Okay, so here we have our notifications, and these are events, right? Notifications can come into EDLORE directly from your SCADA architecture or monitoring systems. I know being a medical application here, there are a lot of triggers, if you will, whether it be a customer calling into customer service or a piece of equipment having a scheduled alarm or trigger of some sort. Any of these protocol then can either come straight to EDLORE or go through some work order management system that you have in place already, thereby creating a notification. Okay, so what we have here is an ability to open up these and scan through them. We're just going to stop and pause. How you doing, folks? So what we're going to have here is a high-level demonstration of EDLORE mobile software. So what you see here, this of course is the mobile application running on the tablet on the Android OS. And this is being mirrored, of course, to the laptop and then, shared with the screencast software. And in the top left, this QR code is what we're going to use to simulate being at the piece of equipment, scanning or accessing that actual piece of equipment in the story of a workforce member using EDLORE here. So where we kick off with is detect device, which of course in detecting, we're going to detect via scanning this QR code here. Detecting is the way your workforce is going to interact with all of your existing equipment, your legacy, asset base. So the equipment you already own, you have it in place today. So detecting, we can accommodate a number of different methods. Really, imagination is the limit here. We can do barcodes and QR codes, RFID, NFIC technologies, as well as sensor fusion, making use of multiple sensor data points at once to determine a single equipment output. So detecting, again, really just imagination being the limit there. Pairing is our embedded solution, which really any questions here we'll go into more depth via offline, possibly phone calls or emails, but it's essentially EDLORE has partnerships with OEMs and they will put EDLORE inside the equipment. This comes in the form of an EDLORE processor running EDLORE firmware, or at the very least EDLORE firmware Hi folks, so what we're going to go through here is just a high-level demonstration of EDLORE mobile software. So what you see here, of course, this is the interface that your mobile workforce is going to log in and see running on the tablet. This is actually running on Android OS. And just to be clear, what we're doing is, of course, mirroring the tablet interface onto the laptop screen and then recording that with the screencast software. So in the top left, we have our QR code that's going to simulate the piece of equipment that we interact with. So where we start really in the demonstration is detect device, of course. And this is the way your workforce is going to interact with all of your existing, or as said, legacy equipment base. So all the equipment you already own, you're already working with. So detecting a device is going to allow your workforce, really your imagination is the limit with how we can go about detecting our equipment. Computer vision, barcodes, QR codes, NFC and RFID technology, as well as sensor fusion. So we can really accommodate just about any method of detecting equipment, thereby giving the workforce access to the appropriate documentation, repair history, safety protocol, knowledge, what have you. Moving to the right, we have our pair device. This EDLORE's embedded solution. I'm sure it'll be cause to questions, which of course we'll field via email and phone calls, or of course face-to-face. So pairing device, essentially in a nutshell, this is EDLORE making partnerships with OEMs where they put our firmware, or at the very least, our processor, or at the very least just our firmware inside their equipment during manufacturing. This allows for EDLORE to take on some preventative and predictive maintenance capabilities, as well as actually eliminate fully troubleshooting steps on behalf of the workforce in many cases. So, as we all know, troubleshooting and trying to discern what the problem is many cases 60 to 70% of the work hours per work order. So, it goes a long way in, maintenance savings costs there. Device list, this is going to give your personnel access anytime, anywhere to equipment knowledge, documentation, history, you name it. As we go through, you'll notice EDLORE serves very nicely as a training tool. And additionally, EDLORE has some very unique and proprietary capabilities that help your organization in terms of knowledge management and even knowledge capture in a completely passive manner. My profile, pretty self-explanatory. This is just the individual workforce member who is logged in, and as you can see, their most recent work activity. And where we'll really kick off this demonstration is in notifications. Okay, so notifications, these can come into EDLORE a couple of ways. Any of your networked environments, or where you have equipment that's able to pass alerts or faults or warnings or even preventative maintenance data. Hey, I have a switch that's about to go bad, come and fix me. Any of these type of communications can either be passed directly to EDLORE, thereby creating various levels of prioritized tasks, or they can of course go through whatever work order management system you already have and get into EDLORE in that manner. In any event, the task will be prioritized first by categorized by priority, and then second by chronological. So as you can see here, we can get some information about this task, and when we're ready, we'll go ahead and click Repair to start the task. So it's going to ask us to scan this QR code here, If it were the wrong piece of equipment or wrong QR code, EDLORE will stop us and tell us we're at the wrong equipment. In this case, we got it right, so let's proceed. We'll click Prepare, and now we'll need to scan our QR. Okay. From here, we landed a safety alert video. This is going to just basically alert the workforce member that there is an important safety alert or safety alert document that they need to be made aware of. So if they've already seen it, they can click Next to just proceed. Now they're going to land at the safety alert document itself. In this case, is a faulty gas valve. And we can read more about what has happened, what we need to do to be safe, who's put out the information, and what have you. So we'll click Next. And in this case, what we just witnessed is in any situation where there is new safety information, or an employee was out that day, or 3 weeks later after the alert was given top priority, it gets forgotten about. Those situations don't happen anymore. So with EDLORE, a safety history, sort of a new thing in industry, is maintained so that no matter who accesses the equipment or at what time in the future, they're always going to be given that safety information until it's removed. So here what we have is another layer of safety, and this is going to create a digital footprint for the organization as well as the workforce member, as well as any regulatory body, to say, hey, listen, we're making our employee or workforce member aware that there are safety measures that they need to follow and personal protective equipment they're going to need to put on. So here we can click around. The application won't respond until we acknowledge, again, a digital record that we have acknowledged we've been told this. Okay? So now we have the safety measures themselves. And the software, being agnostic, of course, can accommodate various types of safety. Really, again, your imagination is the limit here. These can be geared towards regulatory body, your own organization requirements, OEM recommendations, you name it. So this second time we click Done, if you notice, still we can't proceed. The app won't respond until now we're creating that digital record that we admit we've completed these safety steps and put on our personal protective equipment. So we indicate Done, and now we can proceed. So let me just blow this up for you guys. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. When I go full screen, the sharing sometimes stops. So in any event, here we land at the equipment landing page itself. So what we can see is our ultrasound equipment, both our general section as well as another section being the probe, have been highlighted by the EDLORE system. This is a bit of intelligence which I'll explain further. First and foremost, in this story, whether we're novice or expert, of course, the smartest thing we can do is first consume the repair history. Okay, we've already been through our safety measures. They were compulsory. We activate or access the repair history. We can see who's done what in the recent past, what did they do, what parts were replaced, how long did it take them, right? So once we get caught up, we know the state of the equipment and the history of the equipment. As expert, we probably may just go straight for the documentation. Okay, so from over here, what we can do is access this menu that we swipe out, and here we can review our device info just as a redundancy to make sure we have everything accurate, have the right piece of equipment. Okay, next we'll notice we have this preferences can be dropped down, and this is filtering our documentation. So if I uncheck this, please notice these documentation and content counts will change. Okay, right? So now we have many more pieces of content: drawings, videos, animations, manuals, you name it. So what this is showing is that EDLORE's first automatic filtering that it's done is it's getting rid of all of the bodies of documentation which weren't relevant. So straight away, our workforce member has in front of them only the pieces of documentation that are contextually relevant to this probe thermistor fault or error. Okay, so this equipment has passed this information probe thermistor error or fault out of itself, and that has gotten into EDLORE. EDLORE then filters all the documentation so that only the docs or content, again animations and video and such, that pertain to probe thermistor will be shown. That's the first level of filtering. Additionally here, if we go into, say, manual, okay, what we're going to do, we'll actually look for our probe, and we'll take this manual here. It's the full manual. Now this is originally hundreds of pages manual, which, as we can see, EDLORE will filter down. Oops. There we go. So EDLORE has filtered this down to just the pages pertaining to probe, mentioning probe. So we've saved a lot of loitering time on behalf of our workforce member. Additionally, annotation capabilities are here. This goes a long way in terms of EDLORE. EDLORE has been really praised, I should say, in terms of its documentation, content, architecture. So everything in EDLORE is kept at a model level. And what this means for you, 1 second, I apologize. Scan this one more time. Okay, pull this guy back up. Okay, so as I was saying, in terms of data architecture, EDLORE has been really well praised, and this ties in again to your documentation. So here, where we have manuals and a workforce member goes in and makes some annotation, what this is going to do is going to allow for a workforce member in another region to access the same body of documentation with the same notes. So again, from a regulatory standpoint as well as a knowledge standpoint, it's a real win. You know, this documentation architecture. So moving on, all of these, you'll notice documentation here were in manuals, right? If I go in drawings, similarly, you'll see these are broken down by zone. Now you don't have to make use of these zones. You can just make use of a general section, which is an entire piece of equipment. But from a 3D standpoint, which I'll show you next, it's nice to have the content broken up by zone. So what we'll do first is we'll close this this left menu, and we'll see that the general section, which is going to be our 3D, we're going to jump in and just review this model briefly. Okay, so here we can rotate the model around, we can explode this apart, and in looking around, let me just explode them some more. Okay, what we have is you know, a nice exploded view of the ultrasound. We can zoom in, zoom out, you name it. Now we'll notice also we've got a part here that's been highlighted. Now this is our whole model. Okay, what I want to do is just back out. I want to show you the zone itself called probe. Okay, so EDLORE has also highlighted this. And this again all ties back to the fault or error that we got from the equipment. And this is a legacy piece of equipment, mind you, not embedded. So we'll grab this this section here, and what we can see is EDLORE is taken down to a zone or component level and is showing our workforce member what part is the problem by highlighting it. Okay, and again we can zoom, we can explode, you name it. Right? Zoom in on that. Additionally, we can click our Okay, so we'll enter the probe section now. And I just wanted you to see how what EDLORE's done is separated the model. Now is showing just the component which is in trouble. Again, we can zoom this guy apart, explode, and get a nice view as well. You'll notice, so EDLORE's highlighted this in neon. This is based on the metadata that's available on the 3D file, how we're able to know what part to highlight. Okay, and additionally, we can double tap on this, and this gives us some data call into the ERP. So here we can see what's the part name and number, as well as how many do we have in inventory. If there were none, automatic ordering or various protocol can be set up. We also get a parts history. So when's the last time this actual part or component was replaced? Then lastly is notes. It's more of a static field. So this can show the OEM notes as well as any tacit knowledge that's available for this part or process. Okay. So at this stage, if the 3D, the documentation has still not helped us, what we're going to do is leverage the troubleshooter. Okay. So in here, we've basically taken and, whoops, double clicked on you, sorry about that. We basically take the troubleshooting knowledge tree and extract that and put this into an easy to consume if this then that scenario for the workforce. So here what we're going to do is we're going to see a list of trouble. Once we can discern which of the trouble is ours, we're going to go in, we're going to indicate that. We'll ask for the cause. Okay, so here we have the cause. When we have the written title, we can drop this down and have some written description about this. Okay, now we want to toggle over and we want to actually see the remedy. So at any cause or any remedy, you're able to toggle back and forth between the two. Here we'll get to the remedy. So here's my remedy. Again, as you notice, I can toggle back to the cause, and I'm being handed this instruction in written format. So the media is written. At the top, notice we have written, video, and animation. So what this is going to allow me to do is to stay at the same exact cause, okay, or I'm sorry, remedy, probable remedies, but consume it in video format rather than written, okay. So as a video, I can extract contextual relevancy from this that a human would exert a certain posture or force, so there's things there that we can extract value-wise. If again, the human doing the video, maybe their hands get in the way or there's some obstruction of parts view, we can call for the animation of the same exact remedy, but again, just changing the form of media that we're consuming the remedy in. So we can, again, toggle to the cause, staying at animation, video, written. So a pretty useful feature, the troubleshooting. You can make use of these media containers as you desire. Okay. So at this point, if our workforce member has had a little bit of trouble, and even with the documentation, the 3D, and the troubleshooting wizard has not been able to bring the equipment back to a proper working order, what we're going to do is call for support. Okay. So this is EDLORE has written similar to a FaceTime. Okay. So at this point, folks, if if our workforce member has not been successful with the documentation, okay, with the 3D, accessing inventory, using the troubleshooter, all of these have not helped, then what they're going to do is a last-ditch effort is support. So this is a proprietary peer-to-peer audio-video transfer live, so that your workforce member who is on the site, on the ground, can reach out to the high-dollar, consulting engineer, OEM support, who you name it, for that additional assistance. So everybody is familiar with, for instance, like a FaceTime was a similar concept, just an EDLORE version built within the application. Additionally, just to keep the workflow moving, the moment they click this this button to call out for support, a notification is going to go to the appropriate supervisor to let them know that they're on the step of using live support. They've tried documentation, they've tried troubleshooting, they've tried the 3D, basically a list of steps they've tried, so that you as the supervisor can approve the replacement of the asset should, even with the help of support, they still fail to bring the equipment back online. So what we'll do is we see Javid is listed here. We're going to go ahead and call out to him. And hopefully he's going to answer. What this will do as well is ask us which cameras and which microphones we want to leverage. Me being the workforce member in this user story, on the ground. I, of course, want to use my rear-facing camera so that I can see Javid's instructions while showing Javid what I'm up against. And, of course, I want to give access to microphone so he can hear me as well as the state of my equipment. All right. So we're preparing the meeting room for Javid and I. And what you'll see is on the left, it's going to be a feed of my rear camera, and on the right is going to be a feed of Javid's front camera. Okay. So here we have Javid, and he's ready to give us support. He's going through, he's taking a quick look at what steps I've taken already, what documentation I reviewed. Here I can show him the equipment. I have the problem here, I have the problem there, you name it. So again, imagination can run wild, but many ways that everyone we've presented to so far has found that to be quite useful. So coming back out of support at this point, we'll hypothetically assume that we've brought this equipment back online. Just before clicking finish and wrapping up the demo, we see that we had another notification over here. So this was an alert or a fault. We see also there's some procedures attached here. Now there may be many procedures. Those are available down here. Okay, there could be a whole list of them which they can access. But if one was assigned, as was in the case of this task or notification, we can just click it here to go ahead and start this. So this will take us in to a step-by-step, a series of events to walk us through an organization, a regulatory or OEM procedure, you name it. So here again, making use of the multiple forms of media to accommodate multiple types of learners. We have the title and a written description of step 1 with an image and an animation being supplementary media available for this particular step. Here on this one, we've got, of course, written form on step 2 and a video as supplementary media. And on step 3, our final step, we have, again, our written instruction and, if need be, image and video to support our effort. So we can click Done to indicate we've completed this procedure. Okay. Now at the bottom, we're going to click Finish. Before I do, I'll just have you notice this duration has been counting. Reason it's been counting and what it's been counting is, of course, the entire task time, as well as the time taken at each individual point of this process. So I had mentioned earlier on that EDLORE is a bit of a best friend to the organization in terms of knowledge capture, and it does so completely passively. So being that EDLORE was involved in this task or this equipment repair process, we know step for step, down to, again, a forensic level of detail, how the process was done. Not only where they clicked, how long they spent. For instance, step 1, they went into manual A, spent 3 minutes and 47 seconds reviewing pages 8 through 18, something like this, right? Then to drawing B, 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Again, mobile events. Additionally, we can record audio and video. Now here with the tablet, it can be arguable as to the value, but it becomes much more valuable, much more applicable as later this year we begin to pilot with you our digital eyewear. So again, the audio video recording from a first-person point of view of our star workforce or even our novice workforce, you can imagine the ways that those recordings and data could be leveraged by the organization. So here we can leave some written comments. Okay, if we had dirty hands, we can speak the comments, and we click success to indicate we've finished. And here what we see is a final step. What EDLORE's done is filled out completely and accurately a regulatory compliant organization's work order. So here we have everything known. Because EDLORE was involved, EDLORE knows it all and knows it all very specifically. Okay, we have trouble, cause, task type, what was the remedies. Again, only thing necessary at this point, even our notes were able to be put in digitally. A signature is the last step here, and again, semantics. If your workforce uses any type of NFC badges to get on and off site, those badges can log them into the EDLORE software, thus enabling an auto digital signature. Various ways that we can accommodate, even eliminating or automating this last bit of form filling here. So a good overview there, and that in essence is the EDLORE mobile demo. And we thank you very much for your time.